Good morning, I'm Bree Driscoll, and here's your Spectrum News in 90. In the Midwest, at least one person is dead amid historic flooding. Residents of South Dakota, Minnesota, and Iowa all seeing evacuations as the National Guard is called in for water rescues. Meanwhile, the heat wave continues, impacting 100 million Americans. The intense heat isn't just a problem here in the U.S. At least 2 Americans and more than 1,300 others have died making the religious pilgrimage known as the Hajj. In Mecca, temperatures have soared past 120 degrees in recent days. The Hajj, one of the 5 pillars of Islam, is one of the world's largest religious gatherings. More than 1.8 million Muslims performed the Hajj this year. Israel's defense minister is set to meet with his U.S. counterpart this week in Washington as tensions grow between Israel and Lebanon. Meanwhile, Iran-backed groups say thousands of fighters are offering to go to Lebanon to join Hezbollah in its fight against Israel. Israeli officials, if there is no negotiated end, to push Hezbollah away from the border. A new report showing homes for sale are the most expensive they've ever been. According to the National Association of Realtors, the median price of previously owned homes is now more than $419,000. Now here's a look at your weather on the ones.
Here's what we're looking at for the next couple days across the U.S. There's a slight risk for severe storms across the upper Midwest. Heavy rain there as well. Potential flash flooding in through the desert Southwest, remnants of Alberta, and then more heat across the country. Look at this map. This is where we see temperatures above average. Most of the country will be above average here over your Monday and into the beginning part of the week. Look at Topeka, 13 degrees above average. Same for Salt Lake City.
Thanks so much for joining us here on Spectrum News. I'm Bree Driscoll. Today is Monday, June 24th. Our top story, extreme weather threats continuing across much of the U.S. In the Midwest, at least one person is dead amid historic flooding. Residents of South Dakota, Minnesota, and Iowa all seeing evacuations as the National Guard is called in for water rescues. Meanwhile, the intense heat wave continues, impacting millions. Spectrum News anchor Jenny Enoch has more.
More than 100 million Americans are battling the heat and humidity. Many of them are coming off of heat alerts over the weekend. The dangerous heat wave is bringing sweltering temperatures to much of the I-95 corridor. The temperature in Washington, D.C. hitting 100 degrees on Saturday, marking the first time the nation's capital hit triple digits in June since 2012. And when temps get above 104 degrees Fahrenheit, it can get risky.
If it goes above 40 degrees, then we're in trouble. But this is where problems start to happen.
The heat wave is impacting other parts of the country too, from the Ohio Valley to the western part of the country, including California, where heat alerts are forcing so many to stay cool no matter what.
I'm definitely going to the public parks and pools like these, so kind of keeps me cool.
And where folks aren't battling the heat, many are fighting floodwaters after extreme heavy rain. Parts of the Midwest, including a town in Iowa, was evacuated after being submerged up to the rooftops of homes. In South Dakota, the governor declaring an emergency after the southeastern part of the state, bordering Nebraska, received heavy rainfall, killing at least one person there. Sioux Falls, the state's largest city, had more than 7 inches of rain in 3 days, prompting several highways to close and activating emergency high water rescues, where at least 9 people were rescued in 24 hours. Spectrum meteorologists say the Northeast will get some relief from the heat this week, while it may be a long road.
Meanwhile, an American couple and more than 1,000 others have died while on a religious pilgrimage in Saudi Arabia. As Spectrum's Philip Boudreau reports, their family believes they were victims of an intense heat wave.
A trip of a lifetime ended in the deaths of a Maryland couple who had traveled to Mecca, Saudi Arabia. They were taking part in the Hajj, the pilgrimage Muslims are called to do, one of the 5 pillars of Islam. Their daughter believes retired nurse Aissatou Ruri, age 65, and her husband, Aliyu, age 71, succumbed to the extreme heat.
All we know is that it was of natural causes, and someone from the U.S. Embassy did advise that natural causes could have been due to a heat stroke, which, based on the temperature, people were saying it was over 110 degrees.
The Saudi government said more than 1,300 people have died at the Hajj this year, with numerous cases more than $20,000. Their trip was plagued with problems, compelling the couple at one point to walk for hours in search of food.
That they've saved their entire lives They've saved their entire lives to embark on this journey. It was just a nightmare overall experience of a trip. They talked about not having the proper transportations. They talked about days where the company did not provide food for them.
Now, Wuri is planning to head to Saudi Arabia with her family to find where her parents are buried. I'm Philip Boudreau reporting.
In New Mexico, the FBI is offering a reward for answers in connection with a pair of deadly wildfires. The agency is offering up to $10,000 for information about those responsible for igniting the South Fork and the Salt fires. 2 were killed in the blazes, and hundreds of homes across the southern portion of the state have been destroyed so far. Officials say it still caused heavy damage. Full containment is not expected until next month. Today starts 3 days of mourning in the southern Russian Republic of Dagestan, where armed militants attacked a number of places of worship yesterday. More than 15 police officers, several civilians, and an Orthodox priest were killed. Officials saying gunmen opened fire on 2 Orthodox churches, a synagogue, and a police post in 2 cities. Local authorities say the attacks, which happened in a predominantly Muslim region, appear to be coordinated. Officials say several gunmen were killed following the attacks, but it's unclear how many were involved. There's no immediate claim of responsibility for the attacks. Today marks 2 years since the Supreme Court overturned a woman's federal right to an abortion. The anniversary comes as the issue of reproductive rights remains front and center this presidential election season. Our national reporter, Angie Gonzalez, has more.
In the 2 years since the access to abortion care in the U.S. is now a patchwork of various state laws. More than a dozen states have near total bans on the procedure, including Texas.
What is often the most devastating time in your life, a complicated pregnancy, and then so much unnecessary suffering added to that because of the strict abortion bans.
Since the Dobbs decision, reproductive rights has been a hot-button issue. Both President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump are facing tough questions on where they stand.
We've gotten abortion out of the federal government and back to the states, the way everybody and all legal scholars always said it should be.
The Biden campaign says it's championed the issue of reproductive rights and is holding more than 50 events to rally supporters around today's anniversary. Democrats believe the end of Roe hurt women's health care.
This is a state that's clear.
The decision of it being overturned has given the decision back to the people.
The legality of Idaho's near total abortion ban will be tested soon. The Supreme Court will decide in the coming days whether the state restrictions violate a federal law guaranteeing a person's right to emergency care. In Washington, Angie Gonzalez, Spectrum News.
Coming up on our political buzz, a look ahead to the first presidential debate this Thursday, plus who Trump could pick for his vice president.
Here's the deal. In this election year, people need a place to explore national issues that have an impact on their community. To understand those issues better, we're bringing together our team of local political journalists from across the country to break down what's happening. So join us every week to catch up on the key stories making and in your local community.
Watch The Big Deal with Errol Lewis Friday nights at 9 Eastern, 8 Central on Spectrum News Plus. Available on all of your favorite devices exclusively on Spectrum.
At Spectrum, we know how much you depend on the reliability of our products and services. Now, we've taken a new step forward in reliability by identifying potential service issues before they become a problem. If you're affected, we'll contact you and help schedule a free service appointment with one of our expert technicians. The proactive maintenance of our network is one of the many reasons Spectrum delivers the most reliable internet speeds in the nation. Spectrum, keeping you connected.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I found hope in the midst of an overwhelming situation.
Alcoholism is a disease that can affect any family. Everyone suffers, but there is help and hope at Al-Anon Family Groups.
Al-Anon gave me my life back. I'm a better father and husband.
Are you in an overwhelming situation because of someone else's drinking?
Al-Anon and Alateen can help.
Local and virtual meetings are available. Maybe one could work for you. Call 1-866-200-0033 or visit alanon.org/hope.
A very happy Monday to you. I'm hearing across the U.S. for severe storms. Now that we're starting summer, it continues. So here's the severe weather outlook from the National Weather Service. You see kind of the bullseye in through the upper Midwest. That is for today. Heavy rainfall, definite. But again, some of those storms could turn severe. And then for Tuesday, the area shifts a little bit farther to the south and to the east, a little bit closer to the Great Lakes there. That includes Iowa, Illinois, northern Indiana, and also into Michigan. That's from where we got a 2 out of 5 level there for severe storms. With that being said, we've also got excessive rain possible in those same areas. And then I want to draw your attention down here to the desert southwest, remnants of Alberto, Tropical Storm Alberto. That's actually moving into the Four Corners, also into southeast California, where there's potential for thunderstorms and heavy rain, which could lead to flash flooding, especially in through those dry arroyos and in through those Tuesday. Kind of the same deal there for the desert southwest into the Four Corners, and then excessive rainfall possibly in through Chicago out toward the Great Lakes, St. Louis as well included in that. So we'll time it out here with the futurecast. You can see basically the storms billowing up as we go through your Monday afternoon across the desert southwest. They die down through the overnight hours, and then they billow back up as we go in through Tuesday afternoon. And then as we make our way toward the east, you see one system exiting in the east coast, a few showers possible in through upstate New York and through the new northeast as we go through Monday evening, this evening. And then watch this area right here. The storms really start to billow up here as we go through the afternoon and, well, actually overnight tonight in through tomorrow afternoon, especially in through areas around St. Louis as we go through your Tuesday and into a Wednesday.
Well, if you're just joining us or heading out the door, here's a look at what you need to know. In the Midwest, at least one person is dead amid historic flooding. Residents of South Dakota, Minnesota, and Iowa all seeing evacuations as the National Guard is called in for water rescues. Meanwhile, the heat wave continues, impacting 100 million Americans. The intense heat isn't just a problem here in the U.S. At least 2 Americans and more than 1,300 others died making the religious pilgrimage known as the Hajj. And today marks 2 years since the Supreme Court's historic Dobbs decision overturned Roe v. Wade. And this week, the nation's high court is set to hand down more decisions on major cases. And that's a look at what you need to know this morning. A fresh batch of fighters from the Middle East could be joining Hezbollah in its fight against Israel. Iran-backed groups say thousands of fighters are offering to go. Officials have threatened a military offensive in Lebanon if there is no negotiated end to push Hezbollah away from the border. Meanwhile, Israel's defense minister is set to meet with his U.S. counterpart this week in Washington. Ahead of his trip, he reiterated the importance of Israel's relationship with the U.S.
During these meetings, I plan to discuss developments on the southern and northern fronts in Gaza and Lebanon. These discussions are particularly important and impactful at this time.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is set to address Congress next month. Netanyahu also saying the current phase of fighting against Hamas in Gaza is winding down, setting the stage for Israel to send more troops to confront Hezbollah. It's time now for our political buzz. Our Jason Fechner joins us now. Jason, it has been 2 years since Roe versus Wade was overturned. This has become a huge issue point for the Biden-Harris ticket.
That's right, Bree. Good morning. Happy Monday to you. Vice President Kamala Harris saying that everything is at stake when it comes to abortion and abortion rights across this country. Made those remarks over the weekend. 50 events now planned in battleground states throughout the day today as Democrats look to highlight their differences on the issue with their Republicans out there. Harris has been here in Wisconsin multiple times this election cycle, and this is normally the issue that she comes to Wisconsin to campaign on. She made those comments about everything being at stake over the weekend on MSNBC. with a woman who was an abortion rights advocate who was 12 years old in Kentucky when she was raped and impregnated by her stepfather. That story is now running in an ad in Kentucky. I'm sure it's going to be rolled out nationally as well, as, again, Democrats look to highlight the differences from Republicans on this. It was a political liability. Many saw it as such back in 2022 for Republicans. Democrats hoping to make it a political liability.
The presidential debate between Biden and Trump this time around is this week, set for Thursday. What can we expect to see from the candidates as they are preparing?
Fascinating to watch Thursday night, 9 o'clock Eastern time, 90-minute long debate. Often the word game changer gets overused in the world of politics and media. But I think it's fair to say that Thursday could be a game changer in this race because the polls really haven't moved much, despite a lot of big issues that have come up over the last few months, including, of course, Trump's criminal conviction. And the polls really didn't shake up at all. Could they change after Thursday night? We'll see. Biden's been preparing with his advisors at Camp David. A lot of mock debates have gone on, including with his former chief of staff, Ron Klain. Trump reportedly more informal debate prep, which is not necessarily surprising. He made some comments over the weekend about whether or not he should be mean and nasty toward Biden during the debate or should he be kind and let him speak. Well, he's not going to have that. His mic and Biden's mic will be muted while the other person is speaking during the debate. Again, all eyes on Thursday night. I think this could potentially really shake up the race.
Game changer. All right, you said it first. Meanwhile, former President Trump saying he has picked his running mate, but nobody knows who it is just yet. Jason, do you think we know who it's going to be? Can you read his mind? Can you tell us?
I can read his mind, and it's a fascinating place in here. Welcome in, Bree. All he has said so far about his potential VP pick is that they're probably going to be there at the debate on Thursday night. And then he went on to say that a lot of people are going to be there. He also says he's the only one who knows whom he has selected so far. NBC News over the weekend saying potentially Doug Burgum, J.D. Vance, or Marco Rubio, that those are the three frontrunners. What about Tim Scott, of course? What about South Dakota's Kristi Noem, who was making the Sunday talk show circuit? A thing to really watch, though. The debate is Thursday. 2 weeks from Thursday comes his sentencing in the criminal case there in New York, and then the RNC plays out in just a few days after that. We don't have a lot of time right now, so timing of all this is going to be crucial leading up to the Republican National Convention here in Milwaukee.
Yes, very interesting. Thank you very much, Jason.
Have a great day.
It was as tall as all of you.
Who the heck are you?
I'm Envy.
A record-setting weekend for Inside Out 2, the Pixar film making $100 million, the best second weekend ever for an animated film. The sequel's 10-day domestic total topping out at $355 million. The animated film helped kick off a sizzling weekend at the box office with the Bad Boys sequel, The Bike Riders, the Garfield movie, and Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, all seeing strong showings as well. Coming up on Speculation Community, the Navy's Blue Angels.
Spectrum News Plus. News from a new perspective, dedicated to refreshing storytelling and empowering communities across the nation. With balanced reporting, providing real context and in-depth coverage 24 hours a day.
Here's a look at your forecast across the country.
Local stories, connecting communities. We are Spectrum News Plus. Streaming now on the Spectrum News app and free with your Spectrum subscription.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey,
Why don't we go find out? Listen.
I couldn't tell you.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Happy Monday to you. I'm meteorologist Ferdinand Fuhrer. Quick check of your travel forecast. If you are moving about the country, very nice up in Seattle. Temperatures in the 70s under partly cloudy skies. A little warmer for Portland. Ridge of high pressure out west. That's keeping things hot, at least inland from the coast there in through Washington, Oregon, and also into California. 85 for downtown Los Angeles. Out towards Salt Lake City, yeah, it's going to be hot. Right around 100. He has a big ridge of high pressure heat dome is over the center part and even actually moving into the southwest part of the country, even in through the mid-Atlantic. So high pressure in control. Milwaukee, upper 70s. Louisville, 90, 96 for Austin. And then out toward Cleveland, upper 70s, 80s for New York and Tampa. Rain showers here for the next couple days. Temperatures in the 90s. Here's Redondo Beach, California. A beautiful spot there. Look at the white sandy beaches. Just a note for California. You go inland, you get temperatures in the triple digits, like maybe 20, 30 miles inland compared to the beach where you're in the 70s. And that's where those temperatures are nice. A lot of people go to the beaches in Southern California to get relief from the heat. Here's Southern California. Plenty of heat warnings going into effect or in effect and will continue through most of the week, especially out toward the deserts, the mountains, Central Valley of California. Heat advisories in through the whole center part of our country as well, and then more heat for the mid-Atlantic states here as we go through the next couple days. What's happening? We can call it the heat dome. That's been sticking around. We get a little bit of a trough moving through to help cool things a little bit down through the Pacific Northwest, but really what you're going to notice here, high pressure out toward the east, southeast, center part of the country, and then out west again. This is going into next week. So some places might get a little relief here, but again, as we go into next weekend, things are going to really heat up, especially out toward California. So Las Vegas, 109 for today. Topeka, 101. You see the big heat kind of where the highs kind of coincide right there, center part of the country. And then out toward Charlotte, 96. But watch what happens as we go in through your Tuesday. The heat goes up into New York, 91 for Tuesday, 97 for St. Louis, Denver, 97, 80s out toward the coast of California. So New York, again, you got a little relief here for your Monday, but Tuesday, Wednesday, we heat things up, cool things down, a little roller coaster for you. St. Louis are going to be hot here for the next couple days. You get a little break Wednesday and into
Protesters interrupting the final round at the PGA Travelers Championship. Now, it happened yesterday as the final group of the day were about to finish their rounds. The 6 climate protesters sprayed white and red powder on the course. Police were able to quickly grab the demonstrators, only delaying the tournament for about 5 minutes. Extinction Rebellion, an activist group with a history of disrupting events around the world, claiming responsibility for the protest. Well, a new pup has been crowned the world's ugliest dog for 2024. Now, this is Wild Thing, an 8-year-old Pekingese from Oregon. Wild Thing has participated in the competition 5 times, coming in as the runner-up for the past 3 years, but finally taking first place at the California contest this year. He and his family took home a $5,000, better known as the Blue Angels, and they've been wowing crowds since their formation back in 1946. Our Elise Underwood took a closer look as the Angels prepared to soar during this past weekend's Dayton Air Show in Ohio.
It's a lot of work, a lot of focus, and 32 show sites a year.
We're extremely excited to be here. This team has the honor of representing over 800,000 members of the active duty Navy and Marine Corps, reserves and civilians included.
Every move is carefully designed and practiced. There's even a 5-month winter training syllabus before the team even gets to fly at a show.
That every single member of this team was handpicked from the Navy and Marine Corps fleet. Every single member of this team is going to go back to the Navy and Marine Corps fleet. And for this little bit of time I get to be on the team, it's just an honor to be a part of it and be counted among these great folks.
Lieutenant Junior Grade Aviation Structural Mechanic Jordan James is from Xenia.
It's good to be back. We haven't been here since 2022, so it's always good to come home and see family and friends and show what the Navy and Marine Corps do.
Actually, last time I was here for the Dayton Air Show, I was just visiting and I got to observe the team. I wasn't I wasn't a part of the team yet, so I was just here as a patron. It was great to experience the team from that side of it, and then to be here 2 years later in a blue flight suit, it really means a lot to me and to my family, so it's incredible to be here.
There's no feeling like being part of the team, and being here in Dayton is unique in itself.
It's exciting to be anywhere where there's a lot of history, and Dayton's no exception. The history of aviation here, the history of this air show, even just the air show itself. It's certainly an honor to be here, and to be allowed to be a part of that and to be a little bit of that history is exciting.
Experiencing history from the ground to the clouds. Elise Underwood, Spectrum News.
Connected with us here at Spectrum News by getting your national and local headlines on the go. Just download the free Spectrum News app. It's available in the App Store and on Google Play. I'm Bree Driscoll. Thanks so much for watching. Your Spectrum News in 90 is coming up right after this short break. Stay with us.
The 2024 election will decide who leads our nation and the balance of power in Congress, impacting all of us. From Capitol Hill to the Oval Office, let Spectrum News be your resource for balanced, in-depth in local politics. Strengthening democracy by informing your community. That's our mission. Available on all of your favorite devices, exclusively on Spectrum.
At Spectrum, our workforce of over 100,000 employees are all located right here in the U.S. You can find them in our stores, in the field, and in our call centers with 100% U.S.-based customer service. Our team works hard to provide the towns, cities, and neighborhoods they live in with the reliable services that everyone counts on, making us one of America's most trusted companies. We're Spectrum, creating jobs and opportunities across the country, and proud to be 100% U.S.-based.
When I never graduated from high school, I realized I wanted to go back to school because I didn't want to work these back-breaking jobs the rest of my life. With the help of my father and having my son, that was all what made me feel that I could take on whatever challenges life throws at you.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
My mother was always very familiar with her neighborhood, but one day she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual, and she didn't know whether she should go forward or turn, and she wasn't even really sure where she was at. It was very unsettling for her.
I felt so much better after my son told me, "Mom, I don't want you to worry or be afraid. I'll be there for you and we'll figure it out."